Hi, Kanonical here. July 18th, I was scrolling through Twitter when I saw the sad news that Touhou Danmaku Kagura is shutting its servers down, which essentially kills the game completely. While I was very sad that one of my favorite games, maybe ever, was gonna be unplayable in a couple of months, I was kind of happy as well because now I have a clear excuse to make this video. I want to gush about this game while I still can and maybe convince some of you to try it out in the last week or so that it's available. Also, side note, leave a like if you like this video and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. It really motivates me to make these videos since they are a pretty big time investment for me. Alright, enough shilling, let's now talk about why I love Touhou Danmaku Kagura. So for those not in the know, Touhou Danmaku Kagura is a officially licensed Japanese mobile gacha rhythm game based on the Touhou project, which is a series of bullet hell games with excellent music. Touhou is basically known for its music, so the devs over at Aquacell decided to make a Touhou rhythm game filled to the brim with Touhou remixes. I think it's a perfect fit for the series, and I'm surprised there aren't many Touhou rhythm games out there. I was completely sold on the game when I first saw the game. When I first found out about this game, it was right around the time I had started getting into Touhou, its music, characters, lore, and its many fanworks, so when this game was advertised as a Touhou rhythm game with a lot of Touhou remixes from famous doujin circles such as Cool & Create, Usis, Tokyo Active Needs, Yuhei Satellite, Shinra Bansho, Soundholic, and a lot more, plus one of the original songs from the official Touhou games was in it with full permission from Zun. I was immediately down to play this game at launch. I ended up picking up Touhou Lost Word instead of this game at the launch of Touhou Danmaku Kagura, but that's a story for another time. Because I got addicted to Lost Word for a little bit, I ended up starting Touhou Danmaku Kagura a week after it was released. My first impressions of the game were slightly mixed. The game was gorgeous. Maybe that was because I had been playing basically only retro games for like 2 years, I don't know. But it was a little too intense for my iPad on high settings, and it would start to lag heavily when I played in long sessions. I did find the graphic settings eventually, which, side note, why are the settings so hidden in this game? It genuinely took me like 80 hours to find it. It's in the upper right corner, but only when you're in the home screen. Any other screen, it's replaced by the home button. I spent so long trying to look for it, that is probably the one problem I have with the UI in this game. Has anyone else experienced this? I genuinely want to know. Alright, enough getting sidetracked, back to my first impressions. I loved how the game looked with the pretty live 2D models of the Touhou characters in the background while you're playing. It was really breathtaking to just watch the characters just swaying in the background while notes came from their direction. It really reminded me of the original bullet hell games. Hell, it honestly looks way more faithful to the original games than I initially thought now that I've actually played some of them. And I feel a weird sense of satisfaction every time I see a spell card in the background that I've actually gotten to experience in game. They had excellent choices for the music spanning a lot of different genres, and they're all amazing. The original songs are also incredible. I especially love Beat Mario's remix of Wriggle Nightbug's theme, as well as Keyhouse's remix of Famous Phantasmagoria Flower View theme. I'll have those linked in the description because I'm scared of copyright. There's also another somewhat original remix that I love that I'll talk about later since it somewhat relates to gameplay. It was also very surreal playing the original version of Ghostly Band Phantom Ensemble like this since I had heard it was the first time Zun allowed the use of the unaltered original version of any song ever. Seeing the original lined up with all the other fan remixes in an officially licensed rhythm game made by fans of the series just blew my mind. I'm pretty sure this could only happen with Touhou, and it warmed my heart so much that I'm pretty sure this image is part of the reason why I became a Touhou fan. That's enough praising the game, let's talk about the parts that frustrated me as a first-time player. First of all, I hated the difficulty of the game. Easy and normal were too easy for me, and hard I remember just being annoying. These blue notes that appear from hard onward feel so precise at first. I'm pretty confident this is the most common jumping off point for beginners. It was for me as well. It took me so long to get used to it, and you kinda have to if you want to challenge the harder difficulties. Another problem I had with the game is its pacing. You unlock the story so slowly in this game, I genuinely hated it. While it's fine at the very beginning, it gets way worse later on. The game makes you wait a couple hours to a full day to unlock cutscenes sometimes. It completely put me off the game. I heard it was somewhat fixed in the 2.0 update of the game, but it might have been too little too late since that update came out after the game's closure was announced. I liked the game, but not enough to play it regularly, so I just went back to playing Lost World again afterwards. So why did I decide to go back to this game? Simple. I just started watching Beat Mario's Danmaku Kagura streams and the Touhou Danmaku Kagura live shows, like, months later, and thought the higher difficulties looked like a lot of fun to play, so I decided to give the game another shot. I've been addicted to the game ever since then. Now we've finally made it to the main part of this video. Why I love Touhou Danmaku Kagura as a person who's put over 100 hours in this game. This next part will be my quote-unquote review of the game, where I just ramble on about why I love this game, starting off with, of course, the core gameplay. Touhou Danmaku Kagura's core gameplay is a rhythm game, and my first one at that. Although I had played a few rhythm game-like things, such as the DDD Drum Dash game mode in Kirby Triple Deluxe and that one minigame in Splatoon 2 I don't know the name of, I had never played a proper rhythm game before this game. That's kind of why I started playing easy at first and worked my way up from there. Look at me now, I can full combo extra songs now. So now as a person who went through most of the difficulties in the game, I want to talk about the gameplay of this game and the differences between the difficulties. So the gameplay is, notes pull down, hit it when it comes to this line. Simple, right? It's not as simple when there's this many notes on the screen. There are 3 types of notes in this game. The most basic one, this yellow one, works like you would expect. You hit the note on the beat, that's it. These blue notes work like most other rhythm games where you hold it until it ends and release it when it does. The green notes on the other hand are a little different. They're called fuzzy notes, and as the name implies, they're easier to do compared to the other 2. You just hold the lane the fuzzy note is about to swallow in and it'll count. You could also just treat it like the other 2 as well. You're probably screwed if you try to do that on a Lunatic, but I guess you could try to do it. These notes are commonly used to replicate guitar strums or when the drum speeds up on lower difficulties. I'm sorry, I don't know much about music, so I don't know what it's called. Or to just fuck around with you and draw a giant 9 on you. Yup. These notes are very easy to do, and they're pretty satisfying as well. It feels really good hitting all these notes at once. There's also whatever the fuck this is, which takes me to the next topic, the 5 different difficulties in the game and the differences between them. There are 5 difficulties in this game: easy, normal, hard, extra, and lunatic. It's basically the same as actual Touhou, except they swapped hard and extra around. Easy is a snooze fest, to say the least. Notes drop like every second or 2. It doesn't even feel like a rhythm game most of the time. Normal is where the game actually starts letting you play a rhythm game. Fun easy mode where the game lets you get used to the game and experience what the game's about. Hard is where the training wheels come off. The game introduces the new, more stricter blue note. You have to use both hands if you want to succeed, and the game starts throwing gimmicks at you, whether it be the game slowing down the speed of the notes, actually having to do the fast-paced instruments with the yellow notes, and multitasking. Extra is where the game gets actually challenging. Now most of the songs have something you can call a gimmick or 2. From spamming you with these notes where you basically just smash and hope, spamming you with green notes that are really hard to get if you're only using 2 fingers, actually having to switch hands in the middle of a section, doing the background jumps with one hand while the other hand does the other instruments, fucking with you by making shapes with the green notes, just spamming you with yellow notes, putting yellow notes before or after the blue notes to make sure you're on your toes, just spamming you with blue notes, and whatever the fuck the 24 difficulty songs are. Lunatic is Lunatic. I don't think I have to explain what this is, do I? Insane, that's what it is. You should probably brag to your friends if you can full combo Lunatic. Then there's the famed Lunatic 29, basically the boss songs of the game. See, the difficulties have numbers attached to them, which I'm not going to explain because that'd take ages. Just know that 29 is the highest it can go. There are only a couple of Lunatic 29 songs in the game, and they are radically harder than the rest of them. kick you in the shins kind of hard. Only approach these if you have mastered the game. I personally like Extra the most since Lunatic is an ordeal and hard feels slightly more rudimentary compared to Extra. I don't know if Lunatic players feel the same about Extra, let me know in the comments below. I realize I've just been explaining what the game's about and haven't really talked about why it's fun, so let's do that now. First of all, it's really satisfying to hit the notes. It kinda feels like you're playing an instrument. Take this part with a grain of salt since I don't know shit about music and have almost never played an instrument, but it just feels so good to hit the notes. And it plays a tambourine-like sound effect when you hit them that makes you feel like you're performing, that you're part of the song. Most players, when they get to a confident level of play, turn this off, but I never will because I feel it is part of what makes the game for me. It also plays a different sound effect for each type of note, so they use the different notes to match the song itself. It feels amazing, and it's kind of a shame if some people choose not to experience it. The second thing, and probably the main reason, is that Touhou Danmaku Kagura is a skill-based video game, so it is very fun to practice and hone your skills at. You can make it so that your units give a helping hand to you, but that's all you're getting. A majority of the game has to be done with your skills alone, and it's probably why I like the game so much. Unlike a lot of gacha games, you can't pay to win. As a person who likes speedrunning competitive video games, this game feels like a perfect fit for me. While at first I quit the game because I hated the blue notes, it did feel really satisfying when I actually became able to do them almost mindlessly. Some things that looked impossible for me early on felt very plausible dozens of hours later. I started to recognize what hand motions I was supposed to do while playing songs. While at the beginning I could barely beat even the easiest hard songs, by the 100-hour mark, I was full comboing Extra songs. Being able to clearly see how much I was improving was so refreshing compared to numbers on a timer. I felt and still feel proud of how far I've come. This sense of accomplishment, for me personally, probably is the best part of the game, and the only thing I think that can match this feeling is the main lane Touhou bullet hells. I might find something else that might match it eventually. I've heard that this game's pretty similar to Project Sekai, so I might try out that game sometime in the future, but for now, it stands as one of my favorite video games just because of this reason alone. Third and final thing, you get to listen to some incredible music. This game has a lot of my favorite circles, and it also introduced me to so many new circles I had never even heard of before I started playing the game, like Fooling Catmark, Jericho's Law, Alice's Motion, Hatsune Tomiko's Tanabata, and Hari no Ongaku, just to name a few. Every song in this game is a banger. My personal favorites being Sacrifice from Alshomaria Records, Full Festival at the Divine Spirit Mausoleum from Hari no Ongaku, and Surrounding Harvest from Saikenya. I honestly love every single theme in this game. They're so good I sometimes just boot up the game just to listen to them. There's a playlist of all the songs in Danmaku Kagura on YouTube. I'll link it down below so you guys can check it out. So before we move on, I want to talk about the songs that do unique stuff in the game. First is Danmaku Kagura's version of Usate by Flow and Create, which completely breaks the fourth wall. Just listen to it. It's probably the funniest song in the game, and I laugh every time I play it. Second of all is Aitsu wa Ikasama wo shiteiru by Tanabata and Tokenai Yoni by Kihao for slowing down the notes to match the song. I hate playing these songs because of it. Third of all is Harmon's Yokai Girl for just playing around with the green notes and making DeNA symbols out of them, or at least that's what I think they are. And Seino's Perfect Math Class's B-side for combining the latter two. All of these are pretty cool in their own right, however frustrating to play it might be. It makes me wonder what other things they could have done if the game wasn't going to shut down. Next, let's talk about the Hakunia side of the game because it was heavily advertised for some reason. I don't think it was a big enough part of the game to promote as much as they did, but we'll get to talk about DeNA's strange marketing of this game later. Don't you worry. Anyways, back to the main topic. In this game mode, you're trying to make your very own Gensokyo. You place a location in this grid, gather materials, and make things to decorate. Now this sounds like pretty cool customization and all, but there's a catch. It is very restrictive. Almost everything is actually predetermined. One piece of material takes 30 minutes to a full day to get, and the only thing you can actually customize is the location of where you want to place landmarks. There is a mode in the game that lets you customize a decent bit, but that's in the home menu, not in the Hakunia mode. The Hakunia mode honestly is a pretty big disappointment, and the worst part of it is that the story is locked behind it. And reminder, these materials take ages to get! I've apparently only seen like 9 story cutscenes out of the many in the game, even though I've played like 130 hours of this game. Yep. Now do you see why I stopped playing the game because of this? Speaking of, let's now talk about the writing in this game. The writing I'm not going to be able to judge the main story for obvious reasons, so I'm just gonna talk about the event and location episodes. Short answer, they're pretty fun. I mean, they're written by the Dragon Quest writer after all. If you want to read it, they're probably on YouTube or something, I don't know. I have to get this very long video out in like a month, so I'm skipping this part, sorry about that. I'm also not confident enough at writing to evaluate someone else's work. Then again, the game hasn't even let me read most of it, so I guess I'm just doing the same. Just go read it on your own time. It's pretty good. Moving on. Let's talk about the visuals of the game. I mean, just look at it. It's freaking gorgeous. There's a whole lot to gush about on this subject, so I'm just gonna have a lightning round for it. I love the live 2D models in the background while you play the game that react to what's happening in the game. Sparkly visual effects that happen when you hit a note. The background now is really pretty. I absolutely love the swell cars in the background. The chibis in the Hakunia mode are so adorable. The live 2D models in the cutscenes are fine, I guess. The cars you get from the gacha are gorgeous and they also move in various ways, so they feel really lively as well. The art for the actual songs are also pretty cool. A lot of these are basically new takes off established Touhou remixes, and I find that really cool for some reason. And I now realize I don't have a bit to end this part on, so we're just gonna transition to the next part. The gacha. We're finally talking about the elephant in the room. The gacha. So, how is it? Fine, I guess. Well, the odds are probably average, I don't know. I usually try to stay away from this genre like the plague, so I don't really have much of an idea on how other gachas work. Touhou Danmaku Kagura is special, where it barely even counts as a gacha game. I mean, the cards you get from it don't really do much gameplay-wise, so the only 2 reasons you would actually pay for it is if you really want one of the cards, or you just want to support the devs. Those are the only 2 reasons I can think of. I guess there's a special kind of SSR where you get a cool looking emblem based on the character, but the only thing they are bragging rights basically. You really don't have to touch the gacha if you don't want to. The only time you really need to is the tutorial. That's it. While players like me who just wanted to play the rhythm game portion of the game appreciated this, I don't really think it was a good idea in the long run, since it might have been one of the main reasons why Touhou Danmaku Kagura shut down. So one day, I was scrolling through YouTube and thought, I haven't played Touhou Danmaku Kagura in a while. Let's check out what they added, and went to their official YouTube channel because that was where I went to check for what updates they've made. And the last video was 4 weeks ago. This was my first red flag when it came to the closure of Touhou Danmaku Kagura. Apparently there was a much more obvious red flag where they added the option to get free items by watching ads, but I was kind of too busy streaming and making the previous video to play Dankagu, so I only heard about it after the fact. What's important is that I realized something was up. They used to upload like twice a week, but now the YouTube channel was completely radio silent. It was pretty obvious that they were running out of money, so it wasn't too much of a surprise when they announced that the game was closing. July 18th, I was scrolling through Twitter when I saw the sad news that Touhou Danmaku Kagura was shutting its servers down. While I was very sad that one of my favorite games, maybe ever, and one I have had a lot of memories with over the past year, was going to be unplayable in a couple months, the writing was already on the wall for Dankagu. I think what hit me harder was reading the developers' reactions to the news. The first one I saw was from the art director of the game tweeting about it. She wrote about how she was notified about the closure a month before the announcement, and that the team had to fight for what they would be able to add into the game before it shut down, since they had been making content 3 to 6 months ahead. I did both paraphrase and translate that if you're wondering. I'll link the original tweet in the description. That leads me to believe that the devs had no say in the closure and it was probably DeNA that pulled the plug. So let's talk about the reasons why Touhou Danmaku Kagura failed financially. The first reason was because the gacha was basically non-existent. I don't know how much that even matters since Touhou Danmaku Kagura is DeNA's third most money-making app, but I digress. The second reason might have been because of how constantly they updated the game. They basically put new songs into the game like twice a week. That might have cost them a little bit. Third reason, and probably the actual reason for the closure, is that DeNA just completely overspent on marketing. I mean, they ran ads on TV. They had ads all over Shinjuku Station, one of the busiest stations in Japan, and maybe even the world. And they borrowed a baseball stadium like 5 times for some absurd reason. Yep, I'm pretty sure it was DeNA's fault the game had to shut down. It wasn't even Touhou Danmaku Kagura's fault. If this game had a better publisher, it would probably still be alive and well, but unfortunately, it got stuck with DeNA. So congrats DeNA for killing your own fucking game and fucking over the Touhou community in the process. Before we get to the conclusion of the video, I just want to say, please play the game for the last few moments it's alive. They're still updating the game with new songs and characters, so please play this game if you can. This is one of my favorite games ever, and I want as many people as possible to play the game before the server shut down. It's a really fun game, it's free, please play it. I'm begging you. In conclusion, Touhou Danmaku Kagura introduced me to rhythm games as a whole, and it also was one of the first Touhou games I ever played, so it kinda introduced me to a lot of parts of this series as well, and I am very grateful for it. I've had a lot of great memories over the year I've been playing the game, and I'm very thankful to the devs over at Aquastel and Zine for making such an amazing game. This game has honestly become one of my favorite games ever, and I'm very sad to see the game go, and I'm also very pissed off at DeNA for murdering the poor game, but all I can really do at this point is to keep playing the game until the closure, and to treasure the memories I made of this excellent game, Touhou Danmaku Kagura. Thank you, Touhou Danmaku Kagura. I'll sorely miss you.